It is day 35 of 50 days of fitness, and we've hit 5 weeks. I did my Tuesday morning weigh in. It's Tuesday weigh in day, and I am still at 200 pounds. I've been there, I think this is my fifth day in a row, very consistently at 200 pounds. So we'll see. What happens between now and next week. I've been surprised several times in this where it looked like I had kind of reached an equilibrium, and all at once lost a little bit more. So if I could have everything I want, I still I mean I'm very happy with where I am. However, I still have some fat around my belly, around my waist, and things like that I would like to get rid of. And kind of where I was before the cancer surgery versus now. I weighed more then, but I also was working out all the time, and so I had quite a bit more muscle mass than I do now. I've had a lot of that atrophy. So even though I'm way less right now than I did just when I went into surgery, I have much less muscle mass, much more body fat in terms of my body composition. So I think to kind of get rid of that extra stuff, I'm probably going to have to lose maybe another 10 pounds or so. And then that's probably about where the best I can hope for, unless I can kind of build things back up a little bit. So I thought today I'd talk a little bit about social media. And it's a little ironic because here we are on social media on YouTube. But I think that social media I mean, there are some things that are just so wonderful, and there are some things that are not so wonderful. And when I don't know, social media has been around for a while now, but it seems like it was maybe 10 years ago that it really kind of started to become the thing it is today. I mean, we had Facebook and we had those kinds of things, but Instagram, TikTok, all of those kinds of things, Snapchat, those were just kind of coming on, and it's really changed. I think it's changed people a lot, and I do. I've talked a little bit about this before about mental health, and I do think we have to be aware of our mental health when we are looking at social media. And um, one of the things that is important to know is that the things on social media aren't necessarily real. They're not real life. And I think that there are a lot of people, especially our younger people, and I think that this is what's kind of feeding into this mental health crisis that we seem to be in our country. Maybe that's worldwide. I don't really have a way to know that, but I do believe that's true in our country. And I think it's because, especially younger people, they are having a hard time distinguishing between what is real and what is not because of social media. And and I want to talk about that a little bit more so that I mean I'm not knocking anybody, but I guess with social media we have people who they're doing fitness videos, for example, and a lot of what they're doing is a lot of those guys are absolutely legit, but there's a lot of them who are not legit. And there are people who are like editing their physiques to make it look better. And I don't blame them. I mean, they're trying to get more views. They're trying to make it into their profession. And so and the other part is that the stuff that they're going to publish is only the good stuff. So they might fail 20 times and get it right on the 21st time, and they put that out there, but us on the other side of the camera can't see that there were all those failures to get to that point. Likewise, I think the video games play into this, especially the ones that have avatars and things like that, where people can't really see the real you. They see your avatar, and you can pretend to be whoever or whatever you want. And so, and you're in that way, and especially in those games, no one questions it. In fact, it's part of the game. And so you can assume an identity completely different from who you really are that doesn't match up in any way with what you really are. And you can begin to think of yourself as that identity instead of who you really are. And the same thing is true with like Instagram, and with some of these people. Some of these influencers have gotten millions of followers for a persona that they've created and that they are doing on there. And I think after a while, they can't quite distinguish between themselves and their persona. And we've had, if you think about it, I mean, there are a lot of people that have done. I mean, this isn't the first time this has been done, but it's different the way that people are perceiving it. It's different. I mean, think about people like Minnie Pearl. Minnie Pearl, who I love dearly. If you guys don't remember Minnie Pearl, she was a country comedian from Nashville, Tennessee. I lived in Nashville for a while, and not that I really ever, I think I did meet her once or twice at an event, and I just was able to introduce myself. But everyone talked about what a lovely person she was and all this, but Minnie Pearl was a persona. It wasn't who she actually was. And she realized that she was a performer. And I think that we have people, and they're creating these personas, and it's getting reinforced. If they get millions of followers, that in and of itself tremendously reinforces it. And then plus all the likes and all of the things. And you can kind of see where you're getting so much reinforcement for that you begin to identify very strongly with that persona. So I just think that we need to remember that what we're seeing on social media isn't necessarily reality. It's in many times it's a performance, or many times it's people who are trying to convince you of something. They're trying to gaslight you. And they're able to do that because they get so many likes. That's one of the things that I'm glad they've been doing this. They've been cutting, really cracking down on the bots, because for a while we had all these bots, and people would pay so that these bots would give them thousands or maybe even hundreds of thousands of likes and even comments and things. And it looked like there was all of this support for something to reinforce it, and it wasn't even real. And I think we always have to remember that this stuff isn't real. And I'm concerned about that for our health and our fitness, but especially for our mental health. There's a lot of people right now, and they are gaslighting you, and they have reasons for wanting to do that. A lot of them, I guess I won't go into that, but you should always remember that what you're watching may not be real. And I think that one of my real concerns for that right now is there's all this rage. I mean, it's gotten to the point, I barely remember a time, I'm 66 years old, like the last, and I lived through the 60s and the 70s during the Vietnam War and all the protests and everything that was happening then. And this is worse than that. I've never lived in a time where there is so much rage and so many people that are so angry. And I believe that a lot of that is because of social media. And a lot of that also, like I say, I can't say 100% for anything at all. Some of that are people who truly understand it, and their reasons for that may be entirely justified. But there are an awful lot of people that are angry about things that aren't even really true. And they don't know it's not true. They see something and it's got a lot of likes or it's got a lot of support, and so that in their mind is enough evidence that it's true that they'll believe it and get angry. But I've cut back tremendously on a lot of my social media because of the nonstop rage. And I think that what I want to get across to you is I do think that you should be cautious about what you're reading, what you're reacting to. But I think a bigger point that I'd like to make is it's not healthy for you to be in a constant state of rage. It's just not. And I think that some of us are getting kind of addicted to this idea of rage. And there might be all kinds of reasons for it. Some of it might be it makes you feel like you're a better person because you are you're standing up or you're angry about something that seems unjust or something along those lines. And I think we should stand up for each other. I do think we should. But if you're with people who are in a rage all the time, that's not healthy. It's not healthy for them, and it's not healthy for you. In fact, it's unhealthy. It's not just not healthy, it's unhealthy to be in that constant state of rage. And so I guess I just want you to think about that. For your mental health, you should maybe unplug from some of these things. You should really stop and take a step back. And I think you should always, when you see anything, and I try to do this, and I'm not going to deny that I get caught up in stuff sometimes too. I see something and but you really need to always stop and say, does this make sense? Is this even real? And think about it. But I think even more than that, if something is a rage all the time, maybe you need to leave that group. Maybe you need to get away from that group and just get away and not get sucked into this constant state of rage. It's just not healthy. And a lot of this stuff isn't real. It's not real. So, I think that one of the things, and I'm saying a lot more about this than I expected to do, but I would say in today's world, that for our fitness, for our health, for our mental health, one of the big factors that I don't think anybody predicted years ago is social media. And, what we're ingesting, what we're watching, what we're believing, how much we're involved in that. And I think that it would be a good idea to maybe completely unhook from social media from time to time. Take a break. And just kind of reset. And I think it would probably be good for you. So anyway, I've run over my 10 minutes. Again, that's day 35, 5 weeks in. And so tomorrow's day 36. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, we wrap up. So I'm trying to come up with my idea for my next 50 days. If you have ideas, you might put them in the comments. No promises, but if you have something interesting you think might be fun to do, I'd consider it. So, but let's call it a day. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you hopefully tomorrow. Oh, by the way, if you like this, give it a like. Maybe share it with a friend who you think might like it. And maybe even subscribe. We had a previous 50 days of trash that seemed to be pretty popular. And we'll have 50 days again coming up. So take care, everybody. Bye.